So you want to own a vending machine business. Buy a machine, drop it in a busy hallway, and just collect money. That's the plan in your head, and it's not a crazy one. Scroll through social media for 10 minutes and you'll see someone standing next to a snack machine saying they made $10,000 last month from 3 machines while barely lifting a finger. The pitch is always the same. It works while you sleep. It never calls in sick. It doesn't need a boss, and on paper, the math looks almost too easy. Buy a machine for a few $1,000s, stock it with candy bars that cost 50 cents, and sell for $2. And just wait for the coins to fall. Here's the problem. You are looking at the one photo that lies to you the most. The truth is that a vending machine is not really a passive income asset. It is a tiny, brutal delivery and logistics business that happens to be shaped like a refrigerator. And the moment you understand that difference, everything about how this business actually makes money, and how it quietly drains it, starts to make sense. Stick around, because by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why some vending routes quietly earn a full-time income, while most machines bought on a whim end up relisted online within a year, and the difference has almost nothing to do with the machine itself. Let's start with what it actually costs to get in, because the price tag online is a lot messier than buy a machine. There isn't one kind of vending machine business. There are several, and each one is a different bet wearing the same coin slot. At the entry level, you have basic snack and soda machines, the kind you've seen in 1,000 break rooms, usually bought used for $1,500 to $3,000, selling chips and candy bars, and bottled drinks at a $2 to $3 price point. Above that sit combo machines, which handle both snacks and drinks in one unit, and run $3,000 to $6,000 new. Then there's the category everyone online is chasing right now, specialty and interactive machines. Claw machines, cotton candy machines, phone case printers, frozen treat machines. These can run $8,000 to $20,000 or more. But they also charge premium prices and pull in impulse buyers who wouldn't blink at a regular snack machine. And then there's the quiet, boring category that actually produces the most reliable income of all. Micro markets. Small, open-shelf mini-stores with self-checkout kiosks, usually placed in break rooms of larger offices, that need no coin slot at all and can move 2 to 3 times the revenue of a traditional machine in the same space. Each of these is a different answer to the same underlying question. Do you chase a low-cost, high-volume, boring machine that grinds out small margins reliably? Or a flashy, expensive machine that promises a bigger per-sale payout but depends entirely on the right kind of foot traffic finding it interesting? Now here's where the naive mental model starts to break apart. You think the expensive part is the machine. It isn't. The expensive part is everything that has to happen before the machine ever earns $1. Start with the machine itself, since that's the number every blog post leads with. A basic used snack machine can be found for as little as $1,500 to $2,000, but reliability drops fast on machines that old, and repair costs eat the savings within a year. A new mid-tier combo machine runs closer to $3,000 to $6,000. And a specialty interactive unit can run anywhere from $8,000 all the way past $20,000. Add insured freight to actually get the thing delivered, which alone can run $300 to $800 for a single machine, plus permits, an LLC filing, and a sales tax registration that can add another few $100s in most states. Add your first round of inventory, which for a single machine runs somewhere between $200 and $500. Stack it all together, and a single new machine, properly equipped and stocked, typically lands somewhere between $3,000 and $10,000, all in before a single sale happens. That's the number most people expect. Here's the number they don't expect. None of that is the hardest part of this business. The hardest, most expensive part is invisible on a spec sheet, and it's called the location. Getting a machine into a good spot is not a formality. It is the actual product you are selling as an operator, and most first-time owners get it backwards. They buy the machine first and go searching for a location second, which is exactly the wrong order. Experienced operators secure the location contract before they ever spend money on equipment, because a machine sitting in a garage earning nothing is worse than no machine at all, and locations don't come free. Most property owners want a commission, typically somewhere between 5 and 25% of your gross sales. Pay to them simply for letting your machine occupy their floor space. Premium. High-traffic spots can sometimes waive commission entirely if you frame it as a free perk for their tenants or employees. But the moment a location is genuinely valuable, hospitals, 24-hour facilities, large apartment complexes, that landlord knows it, and the commission climbs. Go above 20% and you've handed away a fifth of your revenue before product costs are even subtracted. And every location deal needs to be a real, signed contract, not a handshake. Commission rate. Who pays the electricity? What happens if the machine gets damaged? And a clean exit clause with 30 days notice both ways. Skip that paperwork, and you can find your machine unplugged and replaced by a competitor's unit 6 months after you did the hard work of winning the spot. So here's the rehook, because this is the part nobody selling you the dream mentions. The machine is not the business. The location contract is the business. The machine is just the vending part. But before we even get to running the machine, there's a second layer of hidden cost that catches almost every first-time operator off guard, and it has nothing to do with snacks. It's electricity, permits, and paperwork. A vending machine runs its compressor and lighting around the clock, and while many location agreements have the property owner cover the power bill as part of the deal, plenty of smaller locations expect the operator to pay for it, which for a single refrigerated machine can add another $15 to $30 a month that never shows up in the glossy startup calculators online. If your machine sells food rather than just packaged snacks, most states also require a health department permit and periodic inspection. Since anything perishable sitting behind glass falls under the same food safety rules as a restaurant kitchen, and skipping that step can mean a shutdown notice taped to your own machine. Add a local vending or peddler's permit, typically $50 to $500 depending on the city, sales tax registration in every state you operate in, and general liability insurance in case someone claims an injury from the machine itself, and you've got another few $100s a year in overhead that exists purely to keep the business legal before a single snack is sold. Now let's talk about what can actually go wrong once the machine is installed, because this is where the passive income fantasy meets the delivery route reality. A decently performing vending machine generates somewhere between $150 and $400 in gross monthly sales in a typical location. In an exceptional spot, a 24-hour facility, or a busy hospital corridor, that number can climb past 500, sometimes into the thousands, per week. Sounds great until you start subtracting. Product costs alone eat roughly 50% of gross sales. Then, subtract the location commission, another 10 to 25%. Then, subtract card processing fees on every cashless transaction, typically 2 to 4%. Then, subtract fuel and drive time to restock the machine, which for a route of any real size becomes a recurring line item, not a one-time cost. Add it all up, and a single average machine nets somewhere between $40 and $150 a month in real profit. Not per week, per month. That's the number that never makes it into the thumbnail. This is the moment where the entire business reveals what it actually is. It's not a slot machine that prints money. It is a tiny logistics operation, and the profit only shows up if you treat it like one. A single machine earning $80 a month is not a business. It's a rounding error. The entire model depends on stacking enough machines together that the fixed cost of your time, your vehicle, your restocking route gets spread thin enough across many machines that the per-machine profit actually adds up to something worth doing. Most operators need 5 to 10 machines running before the business starts replacing any meaningful chunk of income. And even then, someone still has to physically drive to every single one of them, refill the coils, empty the coin box, wipe down the glass, and check that the card reader hasn't gone offline. There is no such thing as a vending machine that runs itself. There is only a vending machine whose maintenance schedule you haven't visited yet. Let's slow down and actually do the math on why this matters, because there's a hidden mechanic here that mirrors something you'd find in almost any subscription or service business. Not every machine in your route earns the same. A handful of your best locations, the busy office break room, the 24-hour gym lobby, the apartment complex with 300 units, will generate the majority of your real profit. The rest of your machines, the ones in the slow hallway, the office that downsized, the gas station where foot traffic dried up, will barely cover their own restocking gas money. Industry data consistently shows that vending route profitability follows this same pattern seen across almost every small physical business. A small number of locations carry the whole route, and most first-time operators don't find that out until they've already sunk money into 5 or 6 mediocre spots, chasing the dream of just having more machines out there. More machines is not the goal. Better locations are the goal. A route of 5 machines in great spots will out-earn a route of 15 machines scattered across forgettable ones every single time. Here's the rehook. Remember that TikTok creator flashing $10,000 a month from 3 machines. Either those 3 machines sit in some of the best commercial real estate in the country, or that number includes something the video conveniently forgot to mention. In this business, the gap between the claim and the actual bank statement is almost always the location. Now let's talk about the seasonal and cyclical wrinkle that shapes this business's entire cash flow calendar, because vending is far from stable, month to month. Office-based machines slow down hard in the summer, when vacation schedules thin out break room foot traffic, and during the last 2 weeks of December, when entire buildings empty out for the holidays. School-based machines, if you can even get access to that market, follow the academic calendar exactly, earning nothing for 3 straight months every summer. Meanwhile, machines placed near gyms and fitness centers often spike every January, riding the exact same New Year's resolution wave that fills up gym floors, before quietly falling off by March as motivation fades, mirroring almost precisely the churn curve you'd see in a completely different kind of subscription business. An operator who doesn't plan around these cycles can be blindsided by a machine that looked profitable in October and barely breaks even in July. Experienced route owners build a seasonal buffer into their cash flow projections rather than assuming every month looks like their best month. There's also a structural fork in this business that decides how fast you can actually grow it. Build your own route one location at a time, cold pitching business after business, or buy an existing route from someone looking to exit. Building from scratch is slow. Cold pitching 20 or 30 locations to land 2 or 3 yeses is a normal ratio, and it can take years to build a route dense enough to be worth running full-time. Buying an existing route skips that grind, since you're paying for machines that already have signed contracts, established relationships, and a proven sales history at each stop. But existing routes get priced on a multiple of their proven monthly cash flow, which means the discount for doing it yourself disappears the moment you buy someone else's shortcut. Neither path is wrong, but they solve completely different problems. One trades time for a lower price. The other trades a higher price for speed and certainty. Now here's where the psychology becomes just as important as the math, and it explains why this specific business gets sold as a dream so aggressively online. Vending machines are marketed almost exclusively around the fantasy of true passive income, money that arrives without ongoing effort. That promise appeals to something almost everyone wants, income that doesn't cost you your time. But the actual mechanics of the business require the opposite. Even the product selection inside the machine is quietly engineered, whether an operator realizes it or not. The most profitable slots in any machine are the ones at eye level, front and center, which is exactly why experienced operators put the highest margin, most impulsive items there, not the healthiest or the cheapest. Pricing itself leans on the same psychology retailers have used for decades. A $2 price point converts noticeably better than $2.25, even though the difference is trivial, simply because it clears a clean mental threshold in the buyer's head. Rotating in a new item every few weeks keeps a route interesting to repeat customers in an office break room who'd otherwise get bored staring at the exact same 8 slots every day, and operators who track sales data closely enough to spot a dying product and swap it out fast consistently out-earn the ones running the same static lineup for a year straight. Someone has to physically show up. Someone has to notice when a coil jams and a bag of chips gets stuck behind the glass, a problem that quietly kills sales in that slot until someone drives out to fix it. Someone has to notice when the card reader software needs an update, or the machine has been sitting unplugged since a power outage nobody reported. The entire industry's growth has been driven by content that shows the payoff. The cash collected, the machine humming along, while quietly cropping out the Saturday morning route, the gas receipts, and the hours spent finding the next location willing to sign a contract. The people who actually succeed in this business are usually the ones who stopped believing the passive part early and started running it like the small logistics operation it actually is. There's a technology arms race quietly happening inside this business too, and it's reshaping what entry-level even means. A decade ago, a coin and bill vending machine was a complete, sellable product on its own. Today, cashless payment has become close to mandatory since a growing share of buyers, especially anyone under 35, will simply walk away from a machine that only takes cash. Retrofitting an older machine with a card reader can run a few $100s, while newer machines come with it built in, but built-in costs more upfront. On top of the hardware, most cashless systems charge a small monthly software or connectivity fee, often $10 to $30 a machine, purely to keep the card reader talking to the payment network and to give the operator remote visibility into what's selling and what's jammed. That fee is easy to ignore when you're modeling a single machine. But multiply it across a growing route and it becomes a real permanent subtraction from your margin, a cost that didn't exist in this business 20 years ago and now effectively can't be avoided. This is also why the used vending machine equipment resale market is flooded the way it is. Every year, a wave of new operators buys in during a spike of online hype, discovers the real hourly return on their time, and quietly lists their machines for sale a year later, often at a loss. That resale glut isn't evidence the business doesn't work. It's evidence that the business only works for people willing to treat it like the delivery route it actually is, not the vending machine fantasy it's sold as. Here's another cost almost nobody accounts for until it happens to them, and it's the one that quietly kills more first machines than any spreadsheet mistake ever does. Theft and vandalism. A machine sitting unattended in a public space is by design a locked box full of cash and product, and it attracts exactly the kind of attention you'd expect. A pried-open coin mechanism, a smashed glass front, or a card reader ripped out of its housing can each run anywhere from a few hundred to well over $1,000 to repair, and that's before counting the lost product and the days the machine sits dark and earning nothing while it waits for a part. Operators who place machines in unsupervised, low-traffic spots to avoid paying a higher commission at a supervised, higher-traffic location often end up paying for that choice twice, once in lower sales and again in repair bills. This is exactly why the smartest operators treat locations with some form of natural supervision, a front desk, a security camera, an attendant on shift, as more valuable than raw foot traffic numbers alone would suggest. Let's talk about a cautionary structural lesson from a different corner of the vending world, because it shows what happens when the equipment gets ahead of the fundamentals. In the mid-2010s, a wave of new vending operators poured money into elaborate specialty machines, elaborate smart fridges, high-tech kiosks, betting that flashy hardware alone would draw customers regardless of where it was placed. Many of these operators skipped the boring, unglamorous work of securing genuinely high-traffic locations first, assuming the technology itself was the draw. The result was predictable. Beautiful machines sitting in mediocre locations, generating barely enough revenue to cover their own financing payments, let alone turn a profit. The lesson repeats across nearly every version of this business. The machine is never the bottleneck, the location always is. Spending $20,000 on a machine placed in a forgettable hallway will always lose to a $3,000 machine placed in front of 300 hungry office workers every single day. So how does a vending machine route actually make money in plain mechanical terms, once you strip away the social media gloss? The formula is brutally simple. Gross sales, minus product cost at roughly 50%, minus location commission at 10 to 25%. Minus card processing fees at 2 to 4%. Minus fuel and route time equals net profit per machine. Run that formula on an average machine grossing $250 a month, and after product costs alone, you're down to around $125. Subtract a 15% commission, another roughly $40, and you're down to $85. Subtract processing fees and a share of your gas and route time. And you land somewhere in that $40 to $150 range that keeps showing up across the industry, no matter which blog or spreadsheet you check. 10 machines averaging that range nets somewhere between $400 and $1,500 a month, and only once you're running a real route. 10, 15, 20 machines. Does the math actually start resembling a part-time or full-time income rather than a curiosity? Here's the volatility that comes right after that number, because it's not a straight line to get there. Building a route to 10 machines with genuinely good locations typically takes 1 to 2 years of consistent cold pitching, location swaps when a spot underperforms, and reinvesting early profits straight back into the next machine instead of taking it home. Every month spent chasing weak locations is a month your capital sits tied up in equipment earning next to nothing. And just like a subscription business losing members, a vending route loses locations too. Businesses close. Offices downsize. A competitor undercuts your commission offer and takes the spot. An operator running 10 machines, who loses even 2 good locations in a single year, can watch a healthy route slide back toward break-even, unless they've built a pipeline of new location leads to replace what falls away. There's one more rehook worth sitting with before we get to the final numbers. Remember that $85 we landed on earlier, the net profit from one average machine after commission and processing fees. Now remember the $1,000 repair bill from a vandalized card reader. That single incident can wipe out nearly an entire year of profit from that one machine. This is the part the passive income pitch never shows you. The upside is small and steady. The downside, when it hits all at once. Now let's put this together and look at what actually happens over a realistic first 2 years. Because this is where the honest version of the story splits from the social media version. In the optimistic scenario, you secure genuinely strong locations from the start, keep your machine count growing steadily, and treat restocking like the disciplined weekly route it needs to be. Under those conditions, a route of 10 to 15 well-placed machines can generate somewhere between $600 and $2,000 a month in real net profit within the first 18 months. On an initial investment of roughly $30,000 to $60,000 across all those machines. That's a legitimately solid side income, and for some operators, eventually a full-time one, once the route grows past 20 or 30 machines. In the realistic scenario, a few ordinary things go wrong that aren't exotic at all. 2 of your locations turn out weaker than they looked during the pitch. A machine gets vandalized and needs $400 in repairs before it earns another dollar. Fuel prices climb and eat further into your margin on every single route day. Under those conditions, that same operator can spend the first year barely breaking even, watching the dream of passive income quietly replaced by a part-time job that pays modestly for real, physical weekly effort. Zoom out, and this small, unglamorous business is quietly telling you something true about almost every business that gets sold online as effortless. The bigger and more automated something looks from the outside, the more likely it is that a real person is grinding away just out of frame to keep it running. A route of 30 machines humming along smoothly isn't magic. It's someone's Saturday morning, every single Saturday, for years. And that's really the whole story in one line. This was never a business about how many machines you can buy, it's about how many good locations you can actually earn, and how disciplined you're willing to be about visiting every single one of them, every single week, for as long as it takes to matter. So the next time you see a machine humming quietly in a busy hallway and think it's just sitting there printing money, remember what's actually behind it. Not magic. Not luck. Just someone who showed up on a Saturday morning, again.